Coming up on this episode.
This one's just full. They are everywhere. Perfect. Putting on some Teflon tape, wrap it 3 times, screw that in there. Well, unfortunately, I can't get past this without cutting it up. So this tree broke off and fell over. I don't know where the trunk is though, but it broke. It's not an uproot. And as you can see, I can't get by it with the truck and the trailer. So I have to try to cut it. But this little electric chainsaw was unreal. Did the job. Hi Dolly. What you doing? You want to go for a boat ride or something? Do you think somebody wants to go for a boat ride? Are you happy?
My little doggie used to be afraid of her own shadow. Now look at her. She thinks she's the captain of the vessel. You know, Opal's really come into her own since coming to the island. She just loves it here.
Opal, here's a dolly. Let's see what Berry Point has to offer us. You want to go look at the berries, honey? See if mommy's gonna be happy. Okay, let's go. Good girl. There's lots of Saskatoons at Berry Point this year. Tons and tons. Let's check back here. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's berries here too. This one's just full. They are everywhere. Perfect.
There's a huge bounty growing over at Berry Point, and I'm sure Melody and her girl will have the time of their lives picking bucketfuls of Saskatoon berries. And I think Saskatoon Jam will be happening soon, and I can't wait. Saskatoons are a bona fide superfood, and it's amazing to think that they grow wild and in abundance right here on our island.
Well, the barge is grounded. You can tell because the bow is actually sitting on the lake bottom. And when the bow is higher than the stern, it's always an indication that it's grounded. And the ramps are way far forward. So I'm gonna have to get Pepper and back this up. This is unreal. Let's go look at the cabin. Water system's in place. Looks like it might have been a bit windy. Mosquito magnet is still going. It is absolutely packed. It is packed full. Wow. Uh-oh. That tree looks withered. What is going on? Oh no. Everything looks withered. What happened?
It turns out that the water system was actually doing its job. It just had the wrong instructions. It was set for weekly instead of daily. Easy fix.
I'm just laying out my water system here before I start putting it together to make sure I have all the parts. And I thought I would explain what's going on. This box here is a control box for the motor. It's connected to the power panel, which is connected to the sun. And this unit here connects directly to these green and black wires, which are the motor to run the pump. So you see you've got two pieces there. You've got a motor and a pump. And when it calls for water, the water flows through the pump, out that brass fitting, through a long hose to this brass fitting, which connects to our pressure tank. That long tube there with the sort of transparent cap connects to our pressure tank. You've seen that. That's the big blue tank. I'll put a picture of it up here. And this is a little pressure tank manifold. It has a backflow preventer and garden hose spigot, and it's got a pressure relief, and it's got a gauge, and it has a pressure switch. And that is the pressure switch. And when water is called for, the pressure drops. The switch says, hey, I got to turn the pump on. And away it goes and starts sending power to the pump, which sends more water down the pipe. Right after the blue tank, we have a T, and that leads to a garden hose or whatever we want it to go to.
And that is for drawing untreated water right from the source.
This little butterfly valve here is a sample valve.
And we can actually sample raw unfiltered water here and have it tested to see what goodies it contains.
After it comes out of the blue tank, it goes into these two spin down filters. The one on the left is 500 microns and the one on the right is 140 microns. What the 500 micron mesh does is take out the larger particles, and what the 140 mesh does is takes out some of the smaller particles. Then we go into a 50 micron sediment filter here, and then right beside that one is a big block carbon filter, and that takes out smells and color and things like that to make the water safe to drink. We've got 4 stages of filtration. So right after the 4 stages, we can test it again with this little butterfly sample valve. And beside the sample valve is a shut-off switch. If we shut that off, the water will then go up this T straight out into the house. But if we shut this butterfly off, the water will then flow through this UV filter. And ultraviolet light will kill anything bad. Any amoebas, any cysts, beaver fever, E. coli, all that stuff. It'll just get killed. The bottom here is a flow sensor, and that tells the UV filter to start working when the water's working. This middle one here, it's got kind of like a little dome on it. That actually senses how the UV filter is working, how effective it is. That's connected to the control module, which is the brains of the operation. The control module is up there. We want the control module mounted higher than any water, so that's why it's up high there. Once it comes out of the UV filter, the water is completely clean, and we can verify it by this little butterfly sample valve. And then it goes out to this T and up and out to the house. And that's it in a nutshell, 5-minute water system. I have a pump here. This is the pump we're going to use for the water system. And what I have to do is connect it to this motor. First thing you want to do is remove the sand filter at the bottom, which we'll do here. And then there's a wire guard here. I want that to come off. And then you'll notice here you've got some splines, and they match up with the splines, or this is a receiver, and this matches up with the splines on the motor. You'll notice this motor has a little boot on it. And this boot, this one right here, rubber boot here, they're specific for every kind of motor. So you can mix and match pumps to motors. You just have to make sure that your boot, your sand boot, is the right one for the pump. And this just sits on top like this. Can't get much easier. Sometimes you have to rotate these splines a little bit to get it to seat. And then it's just a simple matter of putting on your nuts. This little gasket here, you got to make sure that that's on as well. You can see it here, little bits of the gasket. So this gasket here has to seat properly. And this goes on. Again, just rotate this a little bit slightly so that it seats. There it goes. Now we're going to put our nuts on. I'll have to tighten these up. And so you get those little feet underneath these tabs. And make sure your plastic is above this metal so that the wires won't abrade against it. And then we'll put these screws in to hold this in place. I've noticed my eyes are getting worse by the day. We now have successfully attached the pump to the motor. We're going to start assembling all the bits and pieces to connect the pump to the actual 1¼ inch tubing. Putting on some Teflon tape, wrap it 3 times, screw that in there. Now rather than put a wrench on there and tighten that, I'll wait until I have all this connected, then I'll tighten it all together. You want to wrap your Teflon tape in the direction you're going to be tightening. If you wrap it the other way, it'll probably come apart. This is a backflow preventer. And what you want to do is look for the little arrow. There's the arrow there that says the flow direction is this way. And we know the flow is coming from the pump and out. So we want the arrow to point up.
The backflow preventer will keep water in the line and stop it from siphoning the water back down to the source.
This is a special fitting that receives the 1¼ pipe, which I'll show you later. It's a compression fitting.
You only need to apply Teflon to the threads that attach to the backflow preventer.
Always wrap your Teflon in a clockwise direction and you'll never run into trouble. You want it to be tight because these national pipe thread fittings are actually tapered. You can blow apart these fittings if you try to wedge it in too far. Does that make sense? Whole thing's underwater anyways. Okay, so that should be fine. That's not going to come apart. That's all good. The pump is all good to go. We've got the motor down here, we got the pump here, and we have the fittings, backflow preventer, everything's good to go. And now we can attach the tubing to this fitting
and drop this pump into the water. This is our pump house, which will house the water filtration system, but for now it is sheltering our solar power system. So until I build our permanent bunker to house the inverters and batteries, the water system will need to live outdoors. Another temporary situation, but it can't be avoided. So like I always say, why do something once when you can always do it twice for double the effort?
Seems to be the way we go here. So I'm gonna get busy. I'm gonna have to cut that one tree down, cut that plywood down to about 5.5 feet, stick it on the side of that building, and start putting the system together. The really cool thing about this electric chainsaw from Home Depot, believe it or not, is you don't have to wear earplugs. And this is strong. So it is dangerous, so you still got to be careful. I'll just buck this up while I'm at it.
Now that I've cleared the tree and made room on the exterior southeast wall of the inverter room, it's now time to cut this plywood down to 5.5 feet, onto which I'll mount the entire water filtration circuit. We've already done a rough system layout on the deck, so we have a pretty good idea of how this is all going to fit together. So now we can begin assembling this water filtration circuit onto this sheet of plywood. The good thing about doing it this way is we can lay out all the components from a comfortable position. It also lets us visualize the entire circuit as we build it, which is helpful for me. Working on a horizontal plane like this keeps all the fittings arranged where they belong. They're not falling all over the place, right? And this allows me to then proceed with connecting everything together with 1-inch PEX tubing. Once that's done, we can mount the whole structure onto the wall with 4 simple screws. The fact that this system will live outside temporarily is not a problem. It'll actually provide one significant advantage. I'll be able to test for leaks and troubleshoot the system without worrying about flooding the interior of the shed. That is a total bonus. And when the time comes, having this entire circuit on one sheet of plywood will make moving it indoors a very simple matter. It's well worth mentioning that building this water system does not require specialized skills or tools. The instructions for the Vico system are straightforward, and if you take your time and follow the instructions, you'll do just fine. All that are required are rudimentary plumbing and electrical abilities. Just remember, there are no shortcuts to a job well done. So if you want your water connections to be tight and dry, be sure to use Teflon tape on your threaded connections. For the crimped connections, use the proper tools. I've seen people try to squeeze those PEX crimp rings with a pair of pliers. Not a good idea. Only use the correct size crimping tool and be sure you set the crimp ring in the jaw squarely, or you will end up with a joint that will eventually fail. I must admit, I'm quite excited at the notion of finally having safe water for showers and dishes. We have heard horror stories of beaver fever being contracted by dishes washed in untreated water. Can you believe that? And showering? Forget it! I, for one, am not crazy about being attacked by killer amoebas either. Don't laugh, it's actually a thing. So we did our research and found a UV system that will provide 10 gallons a minute of water that is 100% safe for human consumption. We're finally done with the days of boiling water to do our dishes safely. And the really cool thing about all of this? It's all powered by the sun. If it seems like there are a lot of individual bits and pieces that make up this system, well, it's because there are. But here's the thing. It's really not difficult at all to put together. Once you've laid out the circuit, you just have to start at one end and methodically connect the pieces one at a time, working your way through slowly to ensure that each piece is properly glued, taped, or crimped. Before you know it, you'll be finished.
This is our 4-stage filtration system. Actually, it's 5-stage. So the water goes up, It's a 500 micron filter, then a 140 micron filter, then a 50 micron filter in this big blue here, and then it goes into this carbon block, and then it's going to go over here to our UV filter, and it's a couple more things to connect to this UV filter. I'm missing a fitting here that we'll have to get, and basically we insert a UV light into here and plug this in to power, and we've got 100% treated water.
So, in from the source, out to the cabin.
And if for any reason we have to bypass the UV, we just hit that, open that, close this, and the water comes through our 4-stage system. Doesn't go to UV, just goes straight out to the cabin. That's that. So that part's done. I was able to put it in a compact footprint. I still don't know if it's going to fit, but it'll be really close. I think we're going to be within half an inch. The one thing that may trip us up is the door, but we'll sort that out when we try to install it inside the inverter room. For now, I'm just going to stick it on the outside of the building, and I'm going to put some kind of a cover on it. What I still have to do is hook this thing up, and that'll mean these parts here, this will be the big black line coming from that. And the pump is all put together. It's ready to go. This thing is all put together. I just have to figure out where it's going to go. And then this here, that fitting there, connects to the green tape. This here goes to a garden hose, or it can go to an irrigation system or whatever. Wow, honey. Can you even make this out on my phone? This is unreal. The only thing missing is you. Love you, sweetheart.
We're just getting ready to take an airplane to go and meet Ryan, and he'll be picking us up. We're just going to take a small plane to Vancouver International Airport, where we board our next flight. Cute. Just go again, eh? That is so neat. I love watching them take the airplanes out. We're very near the airport, and we're about to watch something fly overhead.
Now comes the time to connect the pump to the pressure tank, and this 1.25" pipe is coiled up. And it's a really rigid waterline pipe, so I'm going to have to try to uncoil it.
Well, turns out it wasn't so bad. Just a bit of a pain. But I was able to sort of flatten it out. So we'll see how it goes in.
It turns out I have about 40 extra feet of water line, but I'm not going to cut it. I'm leaving it long just in case I ever need to move the pressure tank to a different location. This water line is actually 2 separate 100-foot rolls. I have a union that will connect the 2 pieces together, and the union I have is rated to survive the winter. Good thing, because it gets cold up here. Okay, the plumbing side of our water filter system is now 100% installed. I just have to connect up the electrical and we'll be good to go. This is exciting!
I'll have to build an enclosure for this, but until then...
Okay, so just landed at the airport and I'm waiting for the big black truck with the big long trailer to come. Should be here soon. There it is, coming around the corner. Coming around the corner. Look what we just picked up. Melodi just sent us a power station and
C200L.
we are going to do a fun review on this.
That's right.
Okay, pack it away for the island.
That right now.
We are strapping some things in, getting help from my girl. She's even getting it.
I don't know how to do it.
You do, you got it. And we've got one last load to pick up before we leave town. Wow, look at the moon. Oh, wow. Since the moment we stepped onto our island, we knew that we'd need to build infrastructure.
We also knew that we would need the basics, like water.
We invite you to see how it all started. You'll notice a big, huge water bottle sitting beside the campfire.
Those were the days.